Welcome learner in our science class for 4th standard learner. Today in this video we will discuss about some useful insect. Learner, overall most of the people are not the big fans of insect. There are many of insect worthy of our fear, but there are plenty of insect in our garden which help us in one way or in the another way. In fact, many beneficial insects improve soil, pollinate plants, or kill off nasty insect that harms our plants. So let us discuss some useful insect one by one. First, we will discuss about the honeybee. Honeybee are one of the insects which are very useful for us. Honeybee give us honey and also help in the process of the pollination. So what is the pollination? Pollination is the shifting of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. Anther is the male part of a flower which contain the pollen grains, and when anther mature it ruptures and pollen grains are comes out and they are transferred to the female part, that is the stigma, through any agent, water, air, insect, etc. So it is the honeybee. When it sucks the nectar from the flower, it sit on the flower and the pollen grains stick with their legs and the wings. And when it sit on the flower, another flower, these pollen grains are transferred in this way. They help in the process of pollination. Not only the honeybee but butterfly, bumblebee also help in the process of pollination. So honeybee, they live their beehives. It is their home, and they build their hives on the trees and roofs of the old buildings. So usually the honeybee suck the nectar from the flower. Then what is the nectar? Nectar is a sweet liquid secreted by the flower to attract the insect or bird for pollinations. So honeybee suck the nectar from the flower and carry it to their hives where they live. And a beehive consists of many six-sided chambers called combs, or we can say that these are the rooms of their hives. And the honeybee store the nectar in these combs, and the nectar changes into honey. The honey is collected from the beehives by lighting a fire under it. The heat and the smoke drives the bee out of the hive, and the honey collectors then remove the hives and collect the honey stored in it. So when we rear or breed the honeybee for the collection of honey on the large scale, then this process is called the apiculture. So how we can define the apiculture? It is the rearing and breeding of honeybees for the collection of honey, called the apiculture. Basically, the honeybee are the social insect. They live in the colonies or the group and have the three castes: queens, workers, and the drones. Queen bee is only the fertile female in the colony, and it may lay the eggs, and it lives for 3 to 4 years, and it is large in size and have no wax gland. Next are the drones, which are the male member of the colony, and they live for the 60 days. They dwell from the unfertilized eggs and have no wax gland. Last are the worker bee. It is the worker bee which have the sting and also have the wax glands, and they collect the nectar from the flower and makes the honey, and they are dwell from the fertilized eggs. So therefore, however, only the queen bee, one queen bee is there in a hive. So the product produced by the honeybee is the honey, which is most nutritious food, and that is rich in vitamins, minerals, protein and energy. And this honey is used to prevent the cold, cough and fever. The next product that is produced by the honeybee, that is the bee wax. Bee wax is secreted by the wax gland located on the sides of the abdomen of the worker bee. And this bee wax is used by the honeybee to make their hives, and it is also useful for making the candles and used in the creams, lotion and the lipsticks. So this is all about the honeybee. The next useful insect is the silk moth. So we get the silk from the silk moth, which usually grow on the mulberry leaves. The adult silk moth that produces the eggs on the mulberry leaves, and we get these silk thread from the silkworm. Basically there are the 4 stages in their life cycle: egg, larva, pupa and the adult silk moth. Firstly, the silk moth lays the egg on the mulberry leaves, and these eggs when mature hatches and produce the larva or the silkworm. This silkworm secretes a liquid from its mouth, which when comes in the contact with the air, that changes into the thread. And silkworm weaves a cover around itself with these threads, and this cover is called the cocoon. And in this cocoon a small insect lies, that is called the pupa. This pupa ultimately changes into the adult moth. So this is the life cycle of a silkworm, where adult moth produce the eggs on the mulberry leaves, and it feeds on the mulberry leaves, and larva is produced from the eggs, and this larva weaves a cover around itself, which is called the cocoon, and inside the cocoon there is the small insect, that is the pupa, which ultimately changes into the adult moth. So it is the cocoon from where we get the silk thread. We put this cocoon into the boiling water, and insect kills inside the cocoon, and we get the silk thread from the cocoon. And do you know, when we rear and breed the silkworm for getting the silk on the large scale, that is called the sericulture. And India is the second largest producer of the silk after the China. So next useful insect is the lag insect. And lag insect usually grow on the banyan tree, plas, bear or the kusum. And these lag insects create a semi-solid substance called the lag. It is its own body ultimately covered with the lag in the this cover, and this cover is called the cell. This lag is secreted by the insect for the protection from the predators, but this lag is very useful to us also. Lag is used in the formation of paints, varnish, printing ink, and also used for making the bangles and the packing of the parcels. So next is the very tiny and attractive insect, that is the ladybird beetle. It is very useful to us. It protects our crop from the harmful pests. It eats the large number of pests and protects our crop. Then butterfly, that is liked by the everyone, also help in the process of the pollination. Beetles, which are not liked by everyone, but they help us in many ways. They are the decomposer who feed on the decaying matter, and some beetles also help in the pollination. So learner, this is all about the useful insect. In next video we will learn about harmful insect. Thank you. Have a nice day.